Good morning, everybody.
Everybody,
Everybody.
everybody.
I'm so excited. I'm so sorry. I'm excited. I don't sound it. I'm very tired. But I am excited for today's topic that Abby had because Abby, you were right. It is con season. The
Yep,
start of con season. And Comic Con is the first of the con season,
yep.
which I'm super stoked about. There's not a lot of winter cons. I think I've mentioned that before.
Yeah, no, and it makes it very difficult, like in the South. Like I understand not like WinterCon's not being popular up north where it snows and like it's really really cold and the weather can get really ugly.
Yeah.
But like
Okay. North,
the
they have an
amount of
exception.
summer cons we have in the South is like almost unbearable.
Almost unbearable. I don't mind
I
it.
mean,
I don't.
yeah, because you run around and chill half the time.
I'm sorry. What was that?
You run around and chill half the time.
Yeah, that's true. And I also don't work those cons. Like I just have a good summer con. I will say though, I haven't been, but apparently Holiday Matsuri has made its mark as being like a good winter con because it's based in Florida. So Florida isn't like that cold. So
Yeah.
I could see why that would be like really good.
Which is
Um,
impressive because I have never heard a single good thing about a con in Florida.
Holiday Matsuri is one of the biggest cons now. Like it has grown. It's grown so much, in fact, that after this year, I believe after this year, they're going to move to a bigger location.
Well, that's
Because
good
it's,
for them.
yeah, it's like it's being held in a resort. So like
Ooh.
a hotel and resort kind of thing.
Hmm.
And you can literally just stay in the resort for your like, if let's say you're a cosplayer and you can stay in the
Right.
resort because there are several like really good places to take photos. I only know this
Yeah.
because one of my friends he told me like he's been there and he really 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 enjoyed it as a good winter con, which again because it's Florida is possible. You can't have that kind of thing in the north, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Um what was I saying? I forget. Anyway, yeah, just talking cons. But
Yeah.
I do think that Comic Con has solidified itself as a good Alabama con because again, we're living in the South. It's cold, but it's not like cold. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember several winters. For several winters, we had like snowpocalypse, snowmageddon, like happening like the week or week and a half before Comic Con.
Mm. Right, but it's never at Comic Con.
Bitch, don't
No,
jinx it. Don't
it's
jinx it.
true. And we also, I do remember that we get 6 more weeks of winter. I think that's what the groundhog predicted.
Oh, Groundhog Day is already
Yeah,
passed? I
it's
thought
already
that was in
passed.
March.
No, 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 it's passed. And there was I only found this out because again, you know how I used to keep up with like Twitter and stuff. I haven't done
Yeah.
that since I started this job. Like I am way behind in terms of the news. But for some freaking reason, I got the notification for oh, it's Groundhog Day. You know, 6 more weeks of
No.
winter, and I'm like, hooray, winter. Yeah, it was Thursday. Also, hi Zamer.
I
No, we're talking con stories because I have a lot of con stories. And next week we will not be doing a podcast because oh, hold on, I'm dropping frames here. I'm back. Okay, so next week we will not be doing a podcast because we will be at Comic Con doing con things there. I'm actually super stoked. So unfortunately, the group that I thought I would be hanging out with, I think they're going to only be there for like mostly Saturday, not at all Sunday.
ew.
Yeah, you. So I actually might volunteer this year
You should.
because I get what is it? My ticket paid for. I don't need a hotel because I live 20 minutes down the road.
I mean, that's if you work the required hours.
Oh yeah, and the so I do want to know more about it, but that's got to be off stream. Um,
Yeah.
but I do want to volunteer because like if my friends are gonna be there or if they are gonna be there, it's just gonna be like half the time, then there's no point. Like, I want to be there the whole 3 days. Then again, they have to work. I don't have to work the weekend. So
Yeah.
they have to work. So I want to be there as much as possible because, like, I just like that. I just go love cons that way. And what is I saved some money.
Mhm.
I saved money, so I'm definitely going to be spending some at Artist Alley. Most likely Artist Alley. I just love Artist Alley. So I'm
From what I've
excited.
heard and seen and caught glimpses of with the Comic Con merch, you're gonna need to save some money for Comic Con merch as well.
I have a lot. I had, like, when I say I saved money, I literally cleared off all of my debts for the month just so I could spend it and become in debt again this month, okay? Because I have a lot of things I want to buy. And like now I have a big girl job. I can actually do it and buy things, like a lot of things. And I told my husband this, and like he's just excited for me because he knows how badly I want to deck out my stream room with more nerd shit. Like, I got a lot of nerd shit. I want to deck my shit out. But I'm so excited. And yes,
You
Artist
should.
Alley. Dealers are hit and miss to me.
Yeah, and that's across the board. That's not with any specific con anywhere. Like dealers are hit or miss.
Yeah. And I don't I am going to take my time in the dealers area of it,
Mm.
but like I think it's just I know I've talked about this so many damn times. There's just something about Artist Alley that is just so good. Like that you cannot find in dealers. Like ship shit, merch that,
Yeah.
ships two characters, or
Yep.
something. You can't find that at the dealer's room or like the dealer section, I guess. Roughly $80 for commie merch. That's fine. Also, I'm very picky with the commie merch.
That's
There is
actually not bad.
no, it's not. Um, because I'm not gonna get every single commie merch. There is a few things I will be getting though that I'm super stoked for, but not everything. I think my husband, on the other hand, might get everything because he's just a fanboy.
Your husband's really cute about it.
Yeah, he's a fanboy. Um, but yeah, sorry. Con stories. I have a lot. I think I've spoken about con stories before.
Well, we absolutely have.
Mm-hmm. It's good to have a refresher because I I don't know if I really went in on a lot of con stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was
And
tame
they're all
back then.
different. You have a different at each experience at each con. It's like, um, I cosplayed as JC at AWA this last year, so 2022 and 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and I had completely different reactions between the 2 years.
I Are we talking like any con we had these stories?
Yeah,
Okay, because I have been going to conventions. I told you already. Uh,
yeah,
since I was like 16, 15, 16 years old. Okay.
yeah.
I've been going to, and my first convention was actually the what do you call it? It was huge. AWA. It was AWA, but it was at Georgia Tech.
Oh, wait, was that AWA
Oh
or
no, no,
Momo?
MomoCon. I'm sorry, it was
Momo, yeah.
MomoCon, and it was at Georgia Tech, and it was
Okay.
free.
Mhm.
And I remember when before MomoCon became what it was today.
Right. Mhm.
Like, it was so small that, but I was so excited. I was so excited to be a part of it. I think I cosplayed Luigi then. It was like a borrowed cosplay, but I did it anyway. And I still remember one of the panels was because they didn't have a lot of panels, right? Because
Yeah.
again, it was very small at the time. One of the panels was like watching really, really bad like movies, and I guess it's just how the energy was. I will never forget it. It was amazing. I had a great ass time. I had a great time just watching a bad movie. I think it was still, what is it, Plan 9 from Outer Space or something, which was aliens,
Oh my
but
God, that's
also,
an awful movie.
yeah, it's terrible, but it was so funny because everyone was like joking and laughing, and it was,
And shitting on it. It's
and
fun when you shit on it.
it really
It's a
was.
bad movie.
It's a horrible movie, and it's like, isn't it like vampire looking aliens, zombie things? That is, it's
It's a mix
good
of
because
like vampires with aliens and maybe zombies.
it
Like
is
it
because
has
they're like the
one of the
undead
three
and
major.
right. But also, that is a good movie because of how bad it was, and they would change it from like night to day, like the cuts were all terrible, and I'll never forget it.
Okay, I know why the cuts were really terrible. Is because the actor that played the vampire died halfway through the movie, so they had to keep like reusing his vampire scene.
Oh, I didn't know that. So we when we watched it, I think it was the first year that it was out, like that they did plan to do that. It
Hmm.
was such a hit that the following year, I still remember, the following year, they did it again. And it was a hit. And I'm like, y'all don't ever, I don't think they do that anymore because, MomoCon is fucking huge now, right?
Right.
But that was something so iconic that I loved at the con. And, for someone's first con experience, I was so shy because my friend at the time, she was the extrovert. She was out. She already made like con friend or like cosplay friends and everything, and was doing shoots and stuff with
Hmm.
them. So I was out on my own a lot. And as an introvert, that was so scary. But when I went into that, having that experience, just watching a terrible movie, and we're all shitting on it, and it was just absolutely hilarious. Because you know how I am with movies. I have a podcast because of it. Uh, I will never forget that kind of. It made me feel much more comfortable being in a convention scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I was like, we're all just nerds shitting on a terrible fucking film, and it's great, absolutely great.
I miss smaller cons, honestly. Like
Um,
there's a charm to smaller cons that most big cons can no longer emulate.
I agree.
Um,
Like, do you
like
remember how MTAC was when it was a smaller con? I mean, MTAC was
no,
always shit, but like MTAC before it became, now it's no longer existing, I don't think. But
no, it's still around.
it used to be a very charming old con. And first of all, I am talking mostly about cons that I've been in the Southeast because that's where I live, is in the Southeast. So we're going to talk about
And more
Southeast cons.
specifically, anime convention.
Yes, anime, yeah, anime conventions. I have been to comic book conventions as well. So, but right now, the
But we're
conventions we're
not
talking
really
about,
talking about something like Dragon Con.
well, I can talk about Dragon Con because I love Dragon Con. I only been there once, and that was the most daring experience that I've ever had, and I kind of want to go again. But anyway, I digress. Uh, Intact. It had charm when it was a very small con before it just kind of, because it was a party con. We all knew it was a party con, but even then, it still it wasn't its sole focus, right? Until it became its sole focus being a party con, and then you just it lost the charm, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with MTAC, and I don't, and I think it's still kind of like that because it did kind of, there were rumors and shit, and it lost its, I don't want to say credibility, but it didn't have
I
a good
mean,
reputation.
gotten kicked out of its hotel.
Hmm. Wait, what happened?
Like the one year I went, apparently congoers caused like $20,000 in damages
Mm-hmm.
across like the convention center and the hotel and
Yeah.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were basically booted from their hotel.
Did I tell you they illegally went into a hotel room?
Wait, what?
I was there for
No, I
that.
remember that. That was the year I went. I remember that.
Wait, was it 2014? Because that's what happened in 2014.
Yeah, it was 2014 or 2013.
It was MTAC well, I say in line. It was MTAC
Okay, it
in
was the
love.
triple impact. So it had like the double impact where it was impact and one of the horror cons.
No, okay, okay. So that's a different year. So this is another year because
Okay.
I was there for that, and that was the year I met my husband.
No.
So what happened? I'm so glad we're talking stories because I have so many, and this is actually one of the stories where I met my husband. Um, so I met him at a convention. We all have mutual friends, but we never met each other, which was absolutely bizarre considering how many mutual friends we have. It's
And the
crazy.
mutual friends that y'all had. Like it
Exactly, at the
doesn't.
time. I knew all of his friends, and his friends knew me, but we didn't know each other, like, at all. We never met. Like, we were never introduced. We never met. Because, again, like, he is more kind of introverted, doesn't go out much. And so, and I, not so much. Like, I still hang out and all that, but we just never met, right? Well, we met in this hotel room. We were all playing a card game. It was Cards Against Humanity. We were all playing Cards Against Humanity, having a great time, inebriated, as you do as a con. And
As you do it impact.
yeah, and I was getting my flirt on, not gonna lie. There he was. And then one of the security people busts in looking for somebody. Hey, we're looking for this person. You're not, and they just barged in. They barged in. And we're like, what? Are we in trouble? Because, like, we're
Was
just
a
chilling
hotel
in a
room.
hotel room. We're not doing anything illicit or anything like that. We're just drinking, playing cards or Cards Against Humanity. And I thought it was so bizarre. And we're like, we're not leaving until we find this person. We're looking for this person, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, dude, chill. Like, seriously, we don't know. This was a security person or whoever. It wasn't security from the hotel. It was for it was staff. It was staff of the convention came into the hotel room.
Or yeah.
Yeah, and looking for this person. And we're like, dude, we don't have this person. Like, this, well, this is apparently his room and doesn't matter. We don't know. He's not here. You're not even allowed if he's not even here. What are you doing? And they left because I think someone pointed it out. Like, you're not actually supposed to go into a room like this. And when, they were like, oh shit, they rushed out to the like next hotel or trying to track this guy down. And I was like, at that moment, like, hit one of his roommates, the other person who was in the room, who's staying in the room. He was like, you guys got to go. You guys got to get out. Because, like, I don't want to get in trouble for whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
But staff heard about it because, they complained as they should, right?
Yeah.
Staff, they're not allowed to go in to a hotel room like that. And I was just,
Someone was on a power trip.
yeah, no,
What
he
that
was.
was.
We all saw it. We all knew he was like, on a power trip, and I was just like, this is illegal. You can't be doing this. What the fuck? And that was also the last year I went to MTAC, by the way,
Yeah.
because that wasn't the only problem. Uh, MTAC was known for having kind of crazy raves because, again, it was based as a party con, and they really
Mhm.
leaned into it being a party con without the actual, like, control. There was no control in this convention.
Yeah.
So someone had to be hospitalized, or they were wheeled out in an ambulance, because the rumors were, this was, by the way, the same night that I met my husband. The rumors were, they OD'd and were immediately rushed to the hospital. And I was like, and of course the rave ended early because what are you gonna do? You know,
Yeah.
I think that was the last time I ever went to MTAC, and and no regrets. I heard every year after that has been not great,
Yeah.
not great at all for MTAC. But I was glad that was my last year. I met my husband, so
Yeah.
uh,
No, I kind of stopped going to Impact because it was always on Easter weekend.
oh yeah, it was. Mhm.
And I think it still is, and I'm just like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that.
How about you? Any con stories? I again, I have a lot that,
You
I
met your
also
husband at a convention. I met my husband at a convention,
oh yeah,
at a
tell
very,
me.
very tiny convention, long before you ever met your husband. But like everybody, like everyone in our friend group knows that me and my husband have been like together for fucking ages.
Mhm.
Um, so honestly, I think the only people that have like had a relationship longer than me and my husband are actually Ray and Chelsea.
Aw.
Um, but yeah, me and my husband met at a super, super teeny tiny little convention. Um, and he was cosplaying Urahara from
Bleach.
Bleach. Yep, thank you.
I
Um,
was with Yoruichi, and I always shipped Yoruichi. Nothing against your husband, but the
no, no,
characters
no, I know,
Yoruichi
same
and
girl, same.
Urahara.
I get it, I get
So
it.
what? So I remember. I think I remember him cosplaying Urahara the one year I did not cosplay Yoruichi, but I was like, you. He made a fantastic Urahara. Like,
He did. He had the shoes, he had the cane,
yeah.
like the hair looked great. It like he did great.
Mhm.
Um, and he still has that cosplay. He doesn't wear it anymore, but he still has it. It's still hung up in our closet.
It's such a good
Um,
cosplay. He's a good
it,
character, by the way. One of the best characters they created in Bleach.
yes, no, agreed. Him and
Oh, if they bring
Kenpachi.
yes, well, and Yoruichi, but if they bring them back, because Bleach is getting a resurgence.
They need to let it die.
They do, but I think
They
they're
need
just
to
trying
let
to
that
ride
die.
that high. I think they're just trying to do the thing that Naruto did with Boruto,
Mm.
like kind of squeezing out the last bits that they can.
I don't care about those snot-nosed brats. I care about
Yeah,
Naruto.
well, it's the animes. It's the business tactic thing of it all. That's what it is.
Which is
Yeah.
what it is.
Anyway, but yes, continue.
Um, so it was a tiny, teeny tiny, only like probably like a couple of hundred attendees.
Yeah.
Um, that was in like a hotel, like not even like a hotel, like in a motel kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And we met there, we became friends. I was trying really, really, it was like 2011, trying really hard to just like make con friends and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's cute. How old are you? 17. Mm-mm, no, no,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll
Jailbait.
talk to you
Jailbait.
later, friend. I have, ooh, like, no.
Now I
I've
get
always
it.
had a very firm stance on that, even at a younger age, that it's just like, if you're under the age of 18, you can date under 18. If you're 18 to 19, you can date between 18 and 19. If you're over the age of 19, then you need to be dating above 18.
Yeah.
Um, but we did become friends. It's like we talked for ages and ages. So that was in like January, and then going into February was Comic-Con season 3, and I got to see him there as well because again, the two cons we those two cons were really like close together in Alabama. So it wasn't uncommon to see like the same group of people go to the same cons. Um, and it's just like a year and a half later we ended up dating. I was preoccupied with somebody else at the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. Fuck that guy, but yes.
Yep. He can go trip on a step.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. After
Yeah, the
everything I know
Christian
about that,
shouldn't
yeah.
be cursing him, but it's just like, well, he can go just trip on a step.
Hmm.
Um, but no, it's like that con was a lot of fun because they had Iron cosplay, and I loved Iron cosplay. and that's where like whoever hosts it brings like a shit ton of like um junk fabric, fabric scraps, like craft scraps, things like that.
Oh yes.
And
Hmm.
people had to like build on top of somebody's pre-existing cosplay
Yes, I
and make
remember
like a
that.
new cosplay. You don't see those anymore.
No, you don't.
I know
I miss
Comic-Con
that.
tried,
Yeah,
but I mean it's kind of expensive
it
and
is.
nobody really wants to put the effort in.
Hmm.
Because I know like I think Awa tried to do it. I think Momo tried to do it, but it's like nobody wants to put the effort in.
I get that. Cause I get that. Cause you don't go to a con to do that, right? You go to cons
Yeah.
for other nerdy things. I mean, it's cute. Don't get me wrong, but I get why it's expensive and not a lot of people would do that. Um,
Yeah.
there was one thing. Okay, here's a question, a con question. Out of all the cons that you've been to, you know,
Is it?
what was
Mhm.
a unique experience provided by a con?
Uh, a unique experience provided by the con.
For example, we had a what was it? A show, a
Hmm.
what was it called? What are they called? This the shows with there was like the bourgeois,
Oh, a burlesque.
burlesque. That's it. Bourgeois. What am I thinking? Burlesque.
Tasteful smut. Yeah, okay,
We had
burlesque.
okay. So that was something. Okay, when I was younger, you know, that's something I
Yeah.
never really was open to for the you know. I had strict parents, so you know,
Yeah.
even when I
Hmm.
even because my parents never went to a convention ever.
Right.
Um, because I know that they would go over their heads. They would be weirded out, right? So they never
Yeah.
went to a convention. So I would go to a lot of conventions with my friends, and like at when I was a teen, I never went to a burlesque show as a teen. Okay, but I remember I
Yeah.
was like, I can never go to a burlesque show because my parents would just, you know, what my parents will find out and they'd be like, "Hey, nice, why are you watching this stuff?" kind of thing. So I never went as a kid, but the curiosity was always there because I'm like, what is burlesque really, really, right?
Yeah.
I went
It's
to one
tasteful
in my
smut.
yeah, I went to one in my adult life, not the
Hmm.
one in because I think my first official like there was a burlesque show in Ada at AWA that I
Hmm.
think was like my second ish one, but it was during COVID, so they didn't actually have a show. You know, they had like a
Yeah.
video playing previous shows and stuff, which was still funny.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Um, which one was it? I think it was at like a smallish con, but it was really cute, right? Like it was a good experience, and I envied the confidence that a lot of burlesque dancers, both male and female, in their
What?
cosplays would do, and it was so fun. And like if you're like having, you know, a group who is very open minded and can enjoy that kind of stuff, I
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
fun time. It is a fun time to
Mhm.
go. Again, it's not for I know a lot of people may not enjoy it, but for a unique experience, especially seeing the cosplays that they would use and the creativity they would put behind it was an amazing experience for me. Like I thought it was going to be like you said it was tasteful smut, but even the smut is kind of it's just everyone having a good time, right? We don't focus on solely the
Yeah.
smut. It's just everybody just having a great ass time. I don't know how to explain it.
Right.
It was funny. I still can't. There was a video of one. I still can't believe it. Someone was like what's that? Bellsprout, right? The Pokemon. It was a
The
Bellsprout Pokemon cosplay. Someone actually did of the Pokemon,
yeah.
and it looked so fucking derpy. It was hilarious because it was supposed to
Yeah,
be
sounds like
hilarious.
Bellsprout.
Yeah, it was supposed to be hilarious. But the dance and everything behind it was so creative and hilarious. It was just 10 out of 10, a good experience, very unique experience that I had. And that was something that the con provided, right? Well, con
Yeah.
and a group the con hired to provide that.
Yeah.
But yeah, great experience. But that's kind of stories like that. Like not to like the extent of smuttiness, but what is a good con experience or unique experience that the con provided?
Opening ceremonies.
Ooh, that's a good
So
one.
like Comic-Con's really known for their opening ceremonies, but they weren't the only ones doing that.
No.
So before I really got to um Sakoshi Con and Comic Con and like
Yeah.
the local cons like that, it's like I watched like a lot of like um con vlogs and things like that from like cosplayers and stuff. And they would show like a lot of opening ceremonies for other conventions like the New York Comic Con and stuff.
Hmm.
Nobody does opening ceremonies anymore.
Oh, I guess they don't, do they?
Mm-mm. And if they do, they're not always that great. Like Comic Con really tries. Um, some some years a little bit more of a miss than a hit, but like I don't really know any con honestly that does an opening ceremony anymore.
You know, now that I think about it, I think you're right. Not even the big cons do that.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's actually kind of
And
interesting.
I'm a little spoiled by Comic Con, but Comic Con also does like a Q&A at the end of their convention. They want to meet, like they'll do out like send out a survey and stuff, but for those who can stay after the closing ceremonies for
Hmm.
Comic Con, that's an instant feedback for the convention.
Oh, really? Huh.
So like I don't really know any other cons that do a Q&A
That's,
like that.
oh, that's true. That is true. And I also think that opening that, I guess that's something that I do know like Comic Con is very good about. But again, no, it's a very good thing that I know that Comic Con is good about is having the Q&A and what they can improve and,
Like
hearing those
caring about the
ideas. Yeah, caring the community or caring about the community. Um,
because like there's PlayOn Con, there's Alabama Comic Con, there was Sakoshi Con. Like I don't know any of them that did a Q&A
mm, you're
specifically
right.
for the convention.
Hmm. And honestly, I haven't been to enough small conventions to really see, but like I think you're right. Because like I know what is it, MomoCon, DragonCon, that shit doesn't happen. It's too huge. You can't be able to do that when there's a con that big because then people could go in like in mass to troll or like the chaos for that. So does that
But
make
like I
sense?
feel like they could if they had started with that and continued on.
Who's to say that they didn't? When because again with a small
As
con.
we would have heard about it.
No, no, no. I could have. They again when MomoCon was a thing. I didn't focus on that as a con goer, so it could have happened, and I just didn't focus on it because again, I was a new con goer, right? I wasn't in the con scene,
Right.
so and who's to say that it didn't? It was a thing that happened, but I do agree that Comic Con was the one who stuck to that. That's something
Yeah.
they do every year. Is like you can come in and voice your opinions as long as it's like as long as you're not trolling. You're not just getting a reaction because there are some people like that I know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, sorry. Any con stories? Any? Because I could still keep going, but I don't want it to just be about me.
So, I don't know. I guess we're just like overly spoiled by Comic Con, honestly, because I don't really know. Like, I went to MagicCon, I've been to PlayOn Con, I've done all this stuff, and it's like they don't have live gaming, which is like basically PE games and stuff.
Oh, huh. So you have been spoiled by Comic Con.
Yeah. And some of them are like
And
really,
the thing it
really
is,
good.
and it's crazy because when you say you've been spoiled by Comic Con, it's not even The fact that you go in as a con goer, you just enjoy
Hmm.
it even as you're working. That says a lot. Because all the other
Yeah,
ones, like Play on Con and all that, you go as a con goer.
yeah,
So the fact that you're like, Comic Con spoiled me, and you're working it, that says a lot.
yeah. But like, think about it. It's like having like physical games. Like Comic Con is known for their fucking dodgeball. Like, let's
Oh,
not
yeah.
even like pretend to ignore that. Like Comic Con is known for their dodgeball game. But they have other live games and just things to do that are so much fun.
I
And
agree.
it's still kind of, and they try different things every year. I know they tried live checkers one year, which what my understanding didn't go over very well because the players got a little too into it and it took way too long. Um, took it a little too seriously. But like I don't like the arcades are fun. Like across the board, a lot of places have arcades now, bringing in the Japanese arcades and stuff. Those are fun, but it's like, but there's also this charm of like physical games.
Hmm.
Because how many times do you see or do you recall people playing Ninja just out on
Oh
the
yeah,
console?
that I think that's also okay. That I can't say because I feel like Ninja is a it it's an era that is gone.
No, I still see it.
See, I don't.
It's not as big, but
Hmm.
I still see it.
I remember it's not as big now because we didn't. Wasn't there like I remember a convention was hosting like this big ninja like competition. And ninja, how would you explain ninja? Because like
I don't know because I've actually never been invited to play.
it's something that you do with your hands and you chop
Yeah, it's
off a hand maybe.
so it's like my understanding it's kind of like a one-sided Red Rover
Hmm.
ish. Um, so one person is in the middle of a group of people,
Hmm.
kind of like close together, but still have like room to move their arms around. And so you kind of make these very dramatic, like ninja slices with your arm,
Hmm.
to try and tag the person's hand. Um, and I guess it's the circle trying to hit the center person.
Yeah.
And so they're like doing dramatic ninja moves to try and avoid having their hands hit. Um, but it's that charm, like that group of just silliness, physical silliness
Hmm.
that you don't really get to see at other conventions or really get to see period across
Yeah.
conventions anymore. I think because a lot of the conventions that used to happen at are too big for people to be able to do it. It gets
So
too crowded.
right. So
Um,
here's a question.
hmm,
If you're talking about that,
yep.
we're speaking as if conventions itself has changed. This is a good discussion question I wanted to ask, or I'll
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
ask. What do you think is the difference between conventions back then? Maybe it just sounds so crazy that I sound like an old boomer, but like conventions back then and
Back
what
in my day,
back in my day, yeah, but like conventions back in the day,
yeah.
at the height of before it became kind of sort of mainstream and huge versus conventions now. What is he like? What do you think the focus has shifted, or do you think that it's just changed? Like, in my opinion, let me say, back in the day, again when
I know what you're talking about because we briefly discussed this previously on the podcast. I think back in 2021 though, so it's been a while since we've talked about this.
right, but it's more
I
of
think the major shift that the younger crowd doesn't fully realize we've cultivated, but have openly embraced and just made it explode is consent
what do you
and
mean?
like mindful consciousness.
Mm,
I think is one of the biggest thing. So like just like an overall community safety.
You mean that they have it now, or they just don't have it as?
They have it now.
Mm.
Because back in our day, in our prime,
In our prime. Okay, yeah, I love that though. Back
it
in our
it
prime.
it had no consideration for someone's personal space or consent. It just it um you kind of did whatever without caring about anyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
Um it you would get drunk, you would do stuff. It's like, yeah, that stuff is still around, but people are more mindful to be conscious to ask for stuff or ask for permission. Glomping was a huge thing, and
Oh
glomping
yeah.
without consent was a major thing. Glomping still kind of exists, but people are much more mindful about asking for consent to glomp first. Um, like just I don't like it's hard to explain. It feels like what it was, its peak con
Mm-hmm.
energy was almost like unhinged.
I need more.
You need
Like,
more?
what do you mean unhinged? Did you say unhinged?
Yeah, I said unhinged.
Like, how do
I
you
it's
explain?
hard to explain because again, it's like I didn't get to fully experience a lot of this in person.
Right.
A lot of this is just secondhand experience from YouTube videos, from cosplayers and stuff.
Ah,
Because we
okay.
don't have yaoi paddles
No, we don't.
or yuri paddles or hentai paddles or anything like that
We don't.
anymore.
You know what? To be honest, okay, I do. I'm actually all right. To be honest, I'm glad we
Nobody
don't have
plays
that.
the fucking Pocky game anymore.
Oh, I missed that though. Okay, listen. I understand the yaoi paddles. That actually, I'm so glad that that's gone. Fuck the yaoi paddles, because as a young person, being influenced, like as a young nerd, thinking that
Mhm.
some of the things that I have seen in my youth with the yaoi
Mhm.
paddle, I cannot unsee. And now as an adult, I'm like, how were other adults okay with this? You know?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Like our generation, not necessarily exclusively millennials, but like our generation within the con community
Mm-hmm.
have made the effort to kind of like grow and realize it's like that's not okay. We cannot really allow that to happen again.
Ever. Now, Pocky game though, okay, I actually kind of like that, especially if it's
Right, but
like, I mean, because you're doing it with friends. I think
but
that's a
the
game.
kids don't know about it. They don't do it.
That's true. That's true. Now it's like, isn't it the new thing? Instead of a Pocky game, it's like you hold the cards in your mouth and you have to pass it on, and if you miss, then you kiss that person next to you, kind of thing. I think that's the new kind of Pocky
I
game.
haven't heard about
It's a common game now. I've seen it in like young TikTok videos or music videos of the day. So I think that's like a new game similar to that. But the Pocky game was our shit, bruh. And when you
it.
would
Yeah,
like
God.
take cosplay photos doing the Pocky game with another person that you shipped, that it went viral or
Mhm.
whatever the equivalent was at the time. Because, bruh.
But again, it's something that like all of this is like our generation within the con community
Hmm.
has made it to where it's like we've really grown and acknowledged. Most of us, a lot, there are still like a lot of people with social disorders
Hmm.
within the anime con community.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
there isn't.
But the majority of us have grown to the point where it's like this isn't okay and we need to acknowledge that this isn't okay.
Yeah, I was about to say we need to
Grow
try
from
and
that
stop
and call out
that.
people.
Yeah. Because again, we're the generation of like we know what was not okay back in the day, at least for me
Yeah.
when I was a teenager. And
Right.
had I known what I know now, um, I realized that a lot of the experiences I had, like, okay, first of all, I love being a nerd. That's why I'm still going to conventions and cosplaying. But
What?
I
You're
won't
a nerd?
exactly. But I do know that some of experiences that I had as, when I was a teen
Mhm.
were not okay with
Yeah.
a lot of the adults. And now that I grew up and I know that
Mhm.
I'm one of the millennials who's like, I'm going to take care of all these young people because I know for a fact there's going to be older uh, cosplayers who are, or I always say cosplayers, but older con goers who would take advantage of the naivety of a young
Yeah.
or con goer,
Mhm.
because I saw that a lot. It happened to me, you know,
Yeah.
and like you said, millennials are more mindful, and we are trying to stop that because, bruh,
Yeah. Yeah.
there are still there's some
Um.
charismatic nerds out there. Okay, I'm just saying, there's a lot of
Yeah.
charismatic nerds out
Well,
there. That's all I'm saying about that. But
and it's I kind of mentioned this like after AWA 2021 in our podcast. Um. But like I talked to a mom at one point who had like a little 16-year-old girl who's cosplaying the cutest Princess Daisy. And she's like, "Yeah, I was really worried like kind of like leaving her here last like Saturday night or whatever and
mhm.
like with her and her friends and whatnot, things like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fair." I'm now I think at the time I was like 30 or whatever. But like as a 30-year-old, it's like, yeah, I can get that. Like I know what it was like in my day
Mhm.
to run around as a teenager with no adult around and what the environment was like. But my generation doesn't allow that anymore.
Yeah, that's
Like she
true.
can run around safely, like amongst our friends. If she was at any point in this hallway with me and my friends that were just along the wall chatting last night,
Yeah.
if she didn't look like she was okay or didn't look like she was safe, we would have approached, like one of us would have approached her and invited her to like come sit with us or sit near us, like where she was inside of us until she got some like could get in contact with someone that she was safe with.
Well,
Like
good.
we
Yeah.
don't we're not like our generation's not going to put that on people,
Not
but
to
we're
say
very mindful of our surroundings and
yes.
what's happening with those around us.
I was about to say, but also our generation may not. A lot of the people in our, as hopeful as I want to be, I also know there's a lot of people in our generation who do not think like we do, who will
Well, I
take
mean,
advantage
like
of
that's
that.
across the board. It's the younger generations are going to have people like that. The older generations are going to have people like
Yeah,
that. It's
yeah. It's
not.
just how it is.
Yep.
But I do think that now it's a much more safe space to be because of how big conventions have gotten, especially in like the whole mainstream thing. Because now,
Mhm.
we're getting guests we never thought we would actually get ever. Well, I'm not talking about like just comic con, like those who get the big
Yeah, like the
guests.
San Diego or New York, they're always going to get whoever they.
Right. But like even I've noticed there's a lot of guests that I don't think I ever saw when I was, you know, a teenager. Like I mean Tara Strong was like a good actress. I was so excited to see her when she was at a convention, but like I'm talking like we had the potential to get, I guess, huge YouTubers or even like film celebrities
Yeah.
now because of how mainstream it's become. And of course, celebrities are equally nerdy. They want to go to
Yeah.
cons, that kind of shit. And also, it's more open, I feel like,
Yeah.
to be a nerd. And like, I'm not to say that you don't get bullied, you can still get bullied, but
Yeah.
it wasn't something that was hidden back in the day. I had to hide my nerdiness
Yeah.
back in the day. Now I feel like it's so mainstream that there's no reason to hide it because how out there it is at this point. And y'all gotta
And you.
y'all being the Gen Z and younger
Mm,
alpha, I think the alpha
mm,
generation now, y'all got it good. Okay? You can literally go to Amazon and buy a cosplay. Back in my day, I couldn't even do that. I had to, and they jacked up the prices for cosplays back in my day because you could not find it anywhere. The internet wasn't a place to like, other than eBay, you couldn't really get a
Mm.
cosplay anywhere, and it was so hard. You had to make them or have them commissioned. Um, so like it blew my
And if you were
mind.
lucky to find something from Japan,
Oh
like
yeah, oh yes. You had to
there's no
like,
hope of anything fitting my size. I'm too tall for it.
I was about to say you had to, what was it? There were groups I remember, and this website, I don't know if it still exists. Maybe it still exists, called cosplay.com, because again, that's where I posted my cosplays back in the day. Um
Mm.
that there would be like message boards to be like, this is where you could find this cosplay for this much. You know, every cosplayer helping to like help other cosplayers find the outfit that they need. And like
Yeah.
they were very descriptive. This cosplay is this much from this seller. However, you're gonna have to get like two sizes up because they really like made their sizes two sizes too small.
Yeah.
So I still remember the community message boards back in the day. Not any everything is so easy now, which I appreciate.
I was about to say, I think that's one thing that like I almost kind of miss is like the forums and the message boards.
No, I don't miss it. I don't miss it. It was it because like I remember I oh god I guess this is a con story per se, but it is like a nerd cosplay story. I
Yeah.
remember in high school when we had like a because I had a creative writing class, and we used
Hmm.
computers. I
Oh
would go
no.
to cosplay.com and type in message boards, still looking for cosplay that I think would be perfect for me, and how awful it is, and how like if it's an eBay item and it's auctioned, everyone on that message board is trying to get this item. It was a nightmare, and it was like war. I will, I now I don't miss that shit. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Amazon. Mm-mm. Now they have places in the U.S. that make cosplays, so you don't have to wait a month to 3 months to get your cosplay. Bruh, I can have it in a week, 2 days. Amazon Prime. Excuse me. I don't miss those days. Mm-mm. Now I'm happy. I'm a happier cosplayer because now I can get anything I want, and you can see the quality firsthand. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just like
Right.
I don't, if I could revert back, I would never. I would never. Not to that time. But yeah. Did you want to end it now, or do you want to continue?
And we can continue. Girl, do we ever shut the fuck up?
I was just saying, I have a lot of stories, mostly from the view of a cosplayer, but I have a lot of
Can I
con stuff.
point out something?
Mm.
So, like, I haven't really noticed in a long time. Um, and this isn't just exclusively Comic Con. Like, I went to MagicCon, ShinkuCon, or not Shinkuku, SakoshiCon, AWA, Momo, MTAC, all of those. I haven't seen in fucking years any kind of like hands-on crafting.
Hands on what?
Crafting. So like I know
Ah.
that at a MagicCon someone did like a chainmail class, like but that was like
Oh.
MagicCon '09. I know at one point there's like a couple of different like crochet panels at Comic-Con like ages ago. Like there have been hands-on crafting that you don't see anymore.
That's fair. I can see that because you're right. I agree. So, what would you like to see?
I don't know because I feel like if you get into the levels of like AWA and Momo and things like those are like even Comic Con, those are really, really big conventions.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know how many kits you need to like pre-make, and obviously you need to sell them
Mm-hmm.
because like if you're doing 10 kits and it's like $20 worth of materials in that's $200 right there. And if it's a big con, then you need more than 10 kits, but it's not guaranteed to have all those kits sold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, kind of situation, I I just don't know what I want instead, honestly.
You just don't want the
But
thing
I
to die. You
do
don't want the
miss it.
crafting to die. Yeah, to die out completely.
I don't want not just crafting. I don't want to like have the loss of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I will also say now I feel like, and maybe this is just me being a little cynical. I
Yeah,
do see the crafting side of it, but it's more for a business. Like they had to make a business out of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Um, I haven't seen like a creative cosplay through crafting anymore. Like where do you remember the time where they would actually make a cosplay out of duct tape? Because it was the era of
yeah.
everything making everything out of duct tape back in the
Not just
2000s.
duct tape. So kind of reverting back to one of our conversations where it's like, what is something like a feature a con had that you haven't seen anywhere else? At one of the Sakoshi cons I went to, so one Sakoshi con had iron cosplay, another Sakoshi con had an iron cosplay,
Mhm.
but with boxes, and you
Oh
had to make a
yeah.
former out of boxes.
Right.
It just like I'm with you. It's just like where is that kind of like level of creativity?
Yeah, I do miss that. I do miss that cuz now I feel like cosplays have been um like they're creative in
Glamorized?
the no, they're creative in the sense of like who the characters are. Example being, do you remember this female cosplayer who does like weird SpongeBob cosplays, like SpongeBob on the Rock with
Yes,
the or like
yes.
the Gary librarian kind of from the dream or
Hmm.
whatever, that kind of thing.
Hmm. Yep.
And she's amazing. I love her cosplays. I've seen her on TikTok and like Instagram, everywhere, Facebook, everywhere. I love her cosplays, that kind of uniqueness because you never think to do like a character cosplay of this particular character.
Right.
But I feel like that's the extent. I do want more cosplays of something created completely unique and creative. Like you
Yeah.
said, the iron cosplay with boxes or
Yeah.
give me something good to check out because that I feel like I miss cosplays like that. I personally do, but I also understand how hard it is to make them. So I don't blame you, but I also miss it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. And like, and I get it. It's like I miss it because it almost feels like it has to be a small con exclusive.
You think? I feel like you would do
Yeah.
great at a big con because you're doing this character in a like a whole unique new way that you
Mm.
would stand out amongst all the other cosplayers who would do said
Yeah.
character. And in a big con, that could be a thing.
Yeah.
What's a negative thing that you wish would change
A
in
negative. Yeah.
that? Yeah, in any convention? Because I maybe this is me being again cynical or
Cynical.
picky,
Yeah.
but I feel like cons now with cosplays and everything has to
Mhm.
constantly be run like a business.
Yeah.
Like
I can kind of see that.
even taking the cosplay photos, I need to do this for this so I can make money out of it.
So a
Like
hustle. It's all about
like
the
it's a
hustle.
hustle. Yeah, it's the hustle or the grind to make photos for OnlyFans or whatever. I wouldn't say you do it at a con, but you know, there's some good pictures that you could post and that you can make a quick buck out of. And I'm like that. I like that you can make cosplay as a business, get your bag,
Hmm.
but I don't want it to be like wholly that kind of thing. Does that make? There has to be a balance. I feel like
Yeah. It's like you don't want like you said the OnlyFans or the like photos or whatever to be like the only thing representing the cosplay.
part of it. Yeah,
Yeah. Because it's costume play. It's like you go and have fun in it.
yeah. But I
Um,
feel like I see that a lot now. Which again, there's nothing wrong with. You get your bag, and if you're a nerd and want to do that, profit off of it, that's fine. There's nothing against that. But I do feel like if that's like slowly becoming the thing,
yeah.
like and this is I think a pressure put on cosplayers because I get a lot of, let's say I made a TikTok. The last TikTok I made, right? I did it
Yeah, yeah.
specifically for me. Or like there was one TikTok I made. And then there was a comment it's like, "Oh, you should do this and this or do this." And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this for me as a fun thing. Like I get that I have a following, but I don't know. I think I'm just weirded by the fact that like, oh, you could do this or be this and like you'll have more followers and do that. Bitch, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just like to cosplay for fun with my friends. If I take a nice photo, because again, I love cosplaying and taking photos. That's not the problem. But if you if you think solely on the fact that oh well you can get more followers like this, or like you can sell your pictures for this much, you take the fun out of it for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. I don't.
And then certain things it's like I don't want a business. It's like sure, I might sell a few photos to help fund the hobby, but like it's like I'm not gonna be a Jessica Negri.
Which she does it so well, by the way.
Oh god, she is so good.
Out of
She's
any,
amazing.
and this is a positive side of it. Okay, Jessica
Mhm.
Nigiri, I love her.
She's
Because
so
of
sweet.
not only is she sweet, she's a boss bitch. She knows how
Mhm.
to work the system,
And
but
she still
also
knows how to make it fun.
she knows how to make it fun, and she gives back to the cosplayers by showing her process of how she makes these cosplays on
Mhm.
TikTok and stuff. Like, my goodness,
She's
there's a
not gonna do something that she isn't gonna have fun in. She straight up
yes.
says that every time. She's like, I'm not gonna do this super accurate cosplay because it's like there's all these other cosplayers on my level or above me that can do that. I'm gonna do something I want to do.
I think that's phenomenal. Cuz I maybe that's the difference. You can tell the people who can do it for fun and you can tell the people who can do it just to have
As
money.
a challenge. Some people want it as a challenge.
And not it's just like a money thing. They only do it for the money, not necessarily for the fun of being a nerd. Does that make sense? That's where
Yeah.
I'm going with that. Um Jessica Nigiri, like I said, does it so freaking well because the way that she runs it because again she also has like spicy photos and everything. But she
Yeah.
never, you can see that she does it with so much joy, the joys of being a nerd. And I love
Yeah.
that. That's the thing. If you have the joy of being a nerd and you can do it, like, and you see the joy instead of just trying to do the hustle just for the sake of
Yeah.
money, then that's the difference. That's what I'm trying to get at, getting my point across. Thank you for bringing Jessica Nigiri up because that's a good example of doing it well.
I
Anyway,
think one of the cons about cons, and it's not necessarily anything a con can do about it. Dragon Con can't do anything about
mm,
it. Like Diego Comic Con can't even do anything about it. Like the biggest cons in the world can't do anything about it. It's the venues.
oh yeah,
The venues are not designed for anime, gaming, comic book, nerd conventions. They are set up for conferences
yeah. Which I
that are
think,
only a fraction of a lot of these conventions, and it's just like no, like it can't be held.
I will also like to say that while that is true,
Mhm.
con goers are incredibly creative. Con makers, I guess, as well, and con goers are incredibly creative in turning those places into something nerdy.
They can, but I'm talking about like it's they're not big enough. There's not enough social areas. There's not enough sitting
Oh
areas.
yeah.
There's
Mm-hmm.
like things like that. It's like Comic Con suffers that really harshly at the BJCC.
Mm-hmm.
And MagicCon suffered that as well because there's just literally no lounge areas at all. And it's fucking expensive to just get like rent a room and then get the chairs to create a just lounge and social area.
Mm.
Um, And like I know at AWA with a huge spike in attendees this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and kind of like what is it? What's the main hotel attached to that?
To
Is it the
Awa?
Waverly?
No,
Yeah,
Sheraton.
well, the one
Wait,
that's attached to them. The Sheraton's across the street.
one oh, okay. Hold on. The one
The one
attached
with
to
the
Awa.
elevators.
Yeah, I thought it was the. Hold on. I thought it was a Sheraton.
No, the Sheraton's across the street.
No, hold on.
The Westin.
That's it, Weston.
There we go. Um, so like in the lobby, the Westin has like a couple of, like a bar and a restaurant, and like it has like this like um inlaid like lounge area or sitting area or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, that's not enough. That it does not have enough space at all for a social area as a
Yeah.
social area.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, the fucking bar shut down. So
Oh
people
yeah.
couldn't go in there and sit in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think like the lower lounge area, the inlet, like the step down area, I think that area got shut down too and
Hmm.
reserved for VIPs or something.
Well, I guess you're right. But again, I also think that given how conventions, I'm just trying to see both sides. Like I see your side, but I also see that at the day back in the day, conventions weren't that big. Like nerd conventions were never. I don't think anyone anticipated nerd conventions would be as big as they are.
Well, yes and no. I would say they weren't expecting as many conventions to get as big as they were because we knew San Diego Comic Con was huge. We knew the New York Comic Con was huge. Um, Even back in the day, Dragon Con was fucking huge. Um, but we weren't expecting things like Momo to grow. We weren't expecting things like AWA to grow like they did. We weren't expecting MTech to grow like they did.
Mm-hmm. Which I am
So,
excited for, but I don't think anyone expected that to grow as much as they did.
right. So it's like I like they knew that they could get that big. I just don't think they were ever expecting as many to get as big as they were.
That's fair.
But on top of that, it's just like there just aren't in, especially in the southeast, there just aren't as many areas to like that can handle those large numbers of people. Dragon Con has to cover what, six different areas to just accommodate everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's three. Like Dragon Con itself is a lot. I'm not gonna lie,
Is a
because like it's
beast.
three buildings, three different buildings from like, and there's several floors in those buildings. No, I lied. That's just there's four different buildings, five maybe. One of the
Like
so
I
the
said, I
deal.
thought it was big.
Okay, the dealer's room is in a separate building with
And
several
it's what,
floors.
four floors?
That's Artist Alley dealer's room. That and we could I had okay, so we did this. I was only there for one day. You need a
Good.
full ass day to really get into what Dragon Con has for just the dealer's room. Okay,
Mhm.
I went and did all of the stuff from the dealer's room in like a few hours. And I was like, okay, we got to do this now before it closes. There was still a line out the fucking. It's a building. There's still lines right out the fucking building, letting in people because there's so many people wanting to go to dealer's room. It was so intimidating. Like,
Yeah.
and again, congrats to Dragon Con being absolutely fucking
Mhm.
huge. Like,
Yep.
good on you. For a nerd
Yep.
convention, hell yeah.
Mhm.
But for someone's first time, don't go to Dragon Con. If you're going to a con the first time, don't go to Dragon Con because it is so huge, it's so intimidating. Three buildings are for just like regular con stuff, like panels and art and all this stuff. in three separate buildings. And then you have the dealer's room and artist alley in its own separate building. It's just,
Mhm.
oh my god. And it's magical. And the next time I do go to Dragon Con, I will be going for more than a day, but I am
Mhm.
dedicating one day just for the dealer's room. One full day for the dealer's room, and then the other day I'm just gonna spend, you know, doing con shit. And like, it was magical. I loved Dragon Con, and I do want to go again. But that shit's insane. That shit's insane. Anywho.
Um, but that's the one con I can really think about conventions, and it's nothing that anyone can really do about.
Yeah, having 3, 4 different buildings. Fuck that. No, no. Only Dragon Con. I'm sure
Or
eventually. Go ahead.
I was about to say, or in the situation like the BJCC, it's just
Oh
terribly
yeah.
set up.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like on like a conference like level, it is horribly set up.
I agree. Well, even it's
Oh,
more like
no.
it's just hi Magnolia. I do think that first of all, I think we're absolutely lucky we have a place that could accommodate us, right? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's terrible in terms of like how you have to integrate like your placements for everything, like where you have to set up
Mhm.
and still keep the flow of a convention well,
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'm not going to complain on the BJCC just because like it is right now the best solution we have to the problem.
Yeah.
And I'm like, even though it does get cramped in there, because it will get cramped in there,
Yep.
I'm
Mhm.
not going to complain too much because it's seriously like the best that we can
And
find
that's
for
not just like a
Alabama.
Comic-Con problem.
Hmm.
It's anything that has more than just one or two floors
Yeah,
um
yeah,
served for a conference or anything. It gets crowded in there fast.
yeah. Very fast. Good God. Anyway, anywho, um,
Yep.
we can end it here actually.
Yeah, I mean it's like you asked earlier, I'm like, no, we can absolutely keep talking.
Yeah. I think we stopped at a good place because again,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for next week because next week is the day, the weekend. Um, so like we said before, we will not be here next week because I'm so stoked for Comic Con. Oh, it is a anime convention happening next weekend, which is why we're not doing our podcast because we're both gonna be there and
Yep.
enjoying the weekend.
We will
Um,
be at Kamicon, Kamicon.
yes, I am so excited. Like I'm so stoked. Um,
It's a lot of fun, Magnolia. If you're in the southeast, you should definitely consider coming.
yes, absolutely. We've been talking about it all how great it's been for the past 2 podcasts. Oh man.
Baby
Not
Lord.
that we're yeah, I was like not that we're like I mean we're
Bias
speaking with
or
our yeah,
anything.
but again, we're speaking from our own experiences and I do like Comic Con for sure.
And it's like I feel like especially in this podcast, we've been very objective on like why we like Comic Con as much as we do.
Mhm. But I also try
Um
not to stick to Comic Con because I have been gone to other cons and I intend to do more cons
yeah.
this year for sure. But I think I'm going to
Ayla can
branch
get
out.
stuff and do stuff that Comic Con can't do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's true. But also, I think this year I'm going to try and go to TwitchCon.
Oh,
I know. And that's in California, Texas, something like that. I really want to
don't
go
jump
to a
in the
giant.
fountain.
No, it's like I'm a huge video game nerd, like huge video game nerd, and I really want to go to a video game convention. I think that's one thing I want to do is to experience an actual video game convention.
Mhm.
Um, there is one in think in Texas, PAX South, that I really want to go to, but I also know it's expensive. Um, and also that it's in Texas. But
I mean, PAX is all over the place. Why not? Like, isn't there one in the PAX East or something?
PAX East is in Boston.
Boston.
It's or like in that general area, I think. Like
Yeah.
up north. So the cheapest I hate to say it, the cheapest PAX that I could go to is PAX South in Texas.
Ew.
I know. But again, like I'm not gonna say much about PAX South because I'm just throwing that. I will go to that eventually, but I also know how
Yeah.
expensive it is. But that is on my to-do list for sure.
I'd
Anywho,
like to go to RTX, honestly.
I'd love to go to RTX too.
Like it's like
I've never.
it's one of the things that's just like it's not accessible to me.
Hmm.
Um, so like that's why it's like, oh, like in recent years, A1, Momo, and things like that is because they just only quote unquote fairly recently become accessible to me. But I'm
I
excited.
I am too.
I plan on going to Momo with y'all. So it's
Yes,
just
I'm
like,
excited this year. Momo. I'm so excited for MomoCon too. I'm just excited to go to all these cons because now I actually have money to spend and splurge, and mostly it's gonna be on Artist Alley, but that's okay. Anywho, who are you?
I am at Miki Reed. You can find me on Twitter. I'm gonna say hi in the chat real quick.
Go ahead.
Um,
Magnolia, you should go to a con. Cons are just something else, bruh.
Magnolia, if you don't mind me asking, what state do you live in? But yeah, I said hello in the chat. You can find me under the exact same spelling on Twitter, Instagram, things like that.
Hmm.
I'm most Massachusetts.
Wait, go PAX East? Wait, that's
Yeah.
expensive though. PAX East is kind of expensive actually. But if you want to
Um,
spend like if you're a video game nerd and you want to
PAX
experience
is
a
like
con, that is actually kind of intimidating. Not gonna lie, because it is PAX and it's a huge
it's
con.
PAX, it's huge, but it is like a good gaming con. Like all of the PAX cons are really, really good gaming cons. Um, but yeah, Magnolia just it's PAX. Is it 1X or 2? 1, right?
PAX
Yeah,
1.
yeah. So look that up, Magnolia. It's PAX East, PAXEAST. It's a really, really good gaming con. They have multiples. Isn't there a PAX Australia
I think
as well?
yeah, because there's PAX South, West, and East, and then I think there's a PAX in Europe, something like that. Correct me
I,
if I'm
I
wrong.
I do think you're right. I do think there's one in Europe, and I know that there's one in Australia as well. So like they're all over the place. They try and reach as much as their community as they can, and
Mm-hmm.
I really respect that.
I agree.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if you wanna know about the con we want to go to, we'll be going to next. I am absolutely
Well,
shamelessly
your work,
plugging.
you also work the con, so you got to plug it in as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Yep. So the one we're going to next weekend, and we will not be having a podcast next weekend, is because of Kamicon, KAMICON. If you want some more information about it, you can check out their website, Kamicon.net, not .com, but .net, for more information about them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because we'll be there acting a fool, having a blast.
Great time.
hmm Um, but yeah, Ricey, who the fuck are you?
Oh, my name is A Bowl of Ricey. You can find me. Wait. Here at a bowl of ricey,
Can
I
find
have
you?
been. There you go. There at a bowl of ricey, you can find me on streaming on Twitch, Tuesdays through Tuesdays through Thursdays, um,
hmm
and maybe even more actually, because I'm really fleshing this new day out for the
Yeah, I've
weekend.
been noticing like different days for you.
Well, okay, not gonna lie, I feel like I've been neglecting in January. I've been neglecting my streams, so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of want to spruce it up a little bit and stream more because honestly, it brings me so much more joy than my actual job. So You're probably gonna see me stream more. Yeah, it's yeah. So and
But yeah,
also,
I've been noticing you stream on Fridays and stuff as well.
well, Friday, this past Friday it was to make up for Tuesday where I had to, or Wednesday where I had to leave early because I know
Mm,
someone needed me that time. But
yeah.
I might actually start streaming Mondays through Fridays. That's just a might, maybe. I'm still kind of
You gotta
working it
have
out.
that outlet from your job.
I it's so I was talking to my husband about it, and it's sad that it's come to this where I actually have to have that as an outlet for my job to get to set out time for just me and my video games. Sad day, sad day. But anyway, um, that's where you can find me
You want
and
me to
where.
get it or you
Yeah,
do
you
that?
can go ahead. Where can you find us, Evie?
You can find us on here at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Sundays. Not next week though. Once again, we will be at a convention um with no internet service and no mind to
Mm-hmm.
actually like sit down and talk. But you can also find us on Twitter at What's Your Pin 10. I put it in the chat. Um, where you can find our opinions there if we actually ever think about doing that. You can also send us your opinions. You can actually
Please do.
find our bingo, our 2023 bingo card. Did we pin that? We should
We
pin that.
we should. Yeah, we actually should. Yep, that's the thing we need to do.
I got it.
Thank
Um,
you.
we made a 2023 bingo card for our podcast. Um, what, 2 Sundays ago? 3 Sundays ago?
I think it was 2 Sundays ago. It was the middle of January.
Sometime in
Three
the
Sundays
past.
ago? Something like that. Why are we focusing? Oh no. There we go. I I think our next podcast, which is our 100th episode, by the way, is going to be on Comic Con. Our
Well,
con stories.
if we had the podcast next week.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not, so we're gonna have to do it at another time. What should we do? I still think we should like meet in person and have like a live podcast, like we did for our first anniversary, or not like a live podcast, but like a live game or something.
It really depends, I think, on how everyone feels after that week.
Ooh,
You know, because
valid.
people do tend to get a little
Shut down.
exhausted. Yeah. So I guess it'll be up in the air. If it's not too big, we'll make up for it. You know, I don't want to put too much pressure on us. But anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for
Yee.
checking us out. I hope you guys have a good 2 weeks. Please stay safe. I know the weather is kind of wacky, kooky,
All over
crazy
the
right
place.
now. Yeah, yeah, everywhere.
That's
But just stay safe, love each
mm.
other, and take care of each other and all that. And we will see you guys next time. Right? Right. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.